How's it going, everyone? It is Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Let's go over the picks from yesterday's video. So I gave a few picks over here on both the short side and the long side. I actually didn't personally end up taking any day trades yesterday, but let's see what ended up setting up. And I will tell you how I played it or how I would have played it over here. So let's spy. We first had Nike long on an LRSI pullback. Nike had a very strong move on the open, making a huge run here. And we almost got the LRSI pullback. If I open this up a little bit, we got a bit of a poke here. Didn't quite hit it, but this is very close. So I think you could have gotten at the 1150 candle. I actually saw this entry here. I thought it was decent, but we just didn't have a ton of space into this gap here. So I felt like personally for Nike, I could take it, and this is a pretty good, it's not a bad setup, but I just didn't think, to me, the risk reward wasn't the best. I could grab maybe 50 cents on the move, which is okay. It's not bad for Nike for sure, not bad at all. But not my favorite. So ended up being a no trade on that guy, although there was a potential to win if you did end up taking that trade. Second one here was Kava. So Kava, nice grinder. Early up in the day, flat open grinder. This was a very nice, strong stock. I think to get in a little bit earlier over here, probably 10:45 and ride it up. By the time I saw it over here, I wanted to see it break that compression. You can see that the stock had a long compression even while the market was rallying, and then it started to pull back. Today, it did actually manage to break above that high and get very close to testing that horizontal resistance on the D1. However, didn't end up taking this trade again, right? We didn't really have any sort of meaningful break of compression. We poked above it here, right? You can see we didn't really get any sort of big close. We're just kind of chopping around here for a while. It's losing relative strength. No trade on this guy either. Okay. Day trade number 3, DLTR as a short. So, nice move on the open here. Pulled back over here, and I was eyeing taking DLTR at 1230, but I didn't for a couple of reasons. The first reason was that the market was decently bullish that day. I was at least mildly bullish, so didn't have a ton of conviction. The second thing was that this bounce was fairly tall, and it didn't really hold. I prefer to see hold below VWAP or be a little bit shorter. If we had bounced here and we got some chop candles and then we got a red bar, I'd be way more inclined to short DLTR. But this bounce was a little bit too tall, a little bit too long for my taste. I ended up avoiding this level, and I mentioned in my notes too, I want to get it through that compression low of around 91.83. So DLTR, a fabulous no trade. Okay, HIMS short. Here's the HIMS D1. Was breaking through some of this level right here, below its A VWAP Q. I liked it here. I want to get in an LSI pullback. You get this break of the upward sloping trend line over here. So this is potentially a signal candle. If I were to draw this right here, right, we're almost getting that break. We're starting to creep a little bit lower. But to me, I don't really see any sort of decent break over here. You got a little bit of a pull, but nothing crazy. So stock does manage to hold its own. A little bit dead for the day. But this is another one that I avoided as well. Again, we didn't have any sort of market confirmation here. This wasn't a strong enough trend for me to really trade that against the market. So also a no trade. So 4 setups, 4 no trades. It happens. I think the only one that actually would have worked out decently well was Nike, but just did not end up taking at the time, and that's okay. So let's go over our swing shorts, which is going to be the same as my picks here. So A12, I gave ALB. We got in at about 76.20. So far, we're up about an ATR move. So Very nice move on ALB. Going to continue to ride this guy down here. You can see that the stock did not rally at all with the market. As soon as the market has started to go sideways today, the stock has tanked. Big move on the open, heavy volume, and now it's just compressing, digesting those gains. So totally fine sticking with this guy. WBA was another short that we took. Did rally a little bit with the market today. Has a little bit flat, I would say, in terms of relative strength and relative weakness. After rallying, you can see the stock is a little bit weaker today. Is below this high from this candle, testing this breakout level. We know that this stock does have a few green pops. So I'm not overly concerned about that guy. We're watching that close. MRK was looking very nice today. Has a bit of a bullish hammer here. So I think looks like it came back here, tested this trend line, and it still looks like to be it's holding this trend line. So we are short somewhere around here. I still like the stock over here. Looks like this trend line is holding. So we're going to need a market tailwind to break through. If we don't break through the trend line, then I will take the small loss that I can on this stock, sitting right on the support. So keeping an eye on that. Wells Fargo, it's up a little bit today, retesting that 200-day SMA. Still, again, nothing too crazy. Holding this guy out. And you can see a lot of our stocks are not really rallying with the market. So we are picking good stocks. We are just a little bit early, and that's okay. We knew that if you are swing trading, right, we took a few here. I took some here, and I think I took one. Yeah, and I think I took two here. So 3 here, 2 here, and these 2 are sized small. So I'm managing my risk with very good picks. Timing it with the, well, at least doing a little bit of decent timing with the market, although I am still a little bit early. But I'm not shorting on these green days, right? At least I'm getting in on some red days, and that I am reducing some size when I don't feel as confident in the position. So ALB is a little bit smaller size, WB is a little bit smaller size, QCOM is a little bit bigger, MRK is smaller size, and WFC is a little bit smaller size. So even though I have 5 positions, they're not 5 positions at full size. It probably equates to something like 3 positions in terms of total size or total dollar amounts put in. Last one here, QCOM. After getting back above that 200-day SMA, it is coming back in. It is testing that level here. There are some sellers in the stock. So normally, right, if this was a very weak condition and Qualcomm was grinding up higher and actually able to break through the SMA, that's actually a little bit more bullish. But given the fact that the market has rallied up pretty strongly in the last, I don't know, week or so, Qualcomm has done a pretty good job of not rallying, especially when if I look at other stocks and semis, right? NVIDIA has made a pretty strong move up. If I look at SMH over here, right, SMH has made a pretty decent move up. So it is QQQ is showing some relative weakness to its sectors. No, sorry, QQQ, QCOM. And again, we have plenty of time before earnings. We have some time before NVIDIA earnings as well. So not too worried about these positions. Let's go over SPY today. So longer term fundamental bias, again, nothing has changed materially. We got the CPI, came out in line. There wasn't a major reaction overnight. Market opened small gap up, but I consider that as a relatively flat open. We have a $9 ATR and we opened up within $1. So to me, that is fairly flat. Not a huge overreaction one way or the other. Market has rallied all the way back to its 50-day SMA. There is a lot of technical resistance, or this is, I guess, a fairly big technical price point, in my opinion. We have the gap fill from August 1st. This closed at 543.01. We have the 50 SMA now at 544, AVWAP-Q 543.03. Also have some horizontal resistance coming into here, also around 543. So when a lot of TA converges at this level, it tells us that there's a major price point. We also have this high minus trend line coming over here as well. So we're in this bounce. It has been, like I said, it can be longer and a little bit taller than you think, but to me, it's not really the end of the world. I think this is more of a seller's boycott. If we look at how we have moved up or down I think that's a major clue. So we got a lot of volume, a lot of institutional buying early on, and then it has sort of waned over here. I think there's not a ton of institutional buying, but also not a lot of institutional selling. We got a rejection from the 200-day SMA twice on the 6th and the 7th. We're able to gap up, crawl back up, and just kind of grind through that SMA, just not able to really give up any ground. Let me change its visibility here. I don't want this to come up on my chart. So broke through this trend line, and then we came back here, grinding up against the bottom of this trend line, above this 200-day SMA. We have a gap up. This is some decent price action, but the volume has just been super light these past few days. This is even with CPI, right? So we do get a heavy volume rejection coming in from here. So there's some heavy selling. Now the move up higher, it's just been very low, light volume, floating higher, tiny mixed candles. And if you look at just how we are moving, right, most of the gains happen within a candle or two. So what am I talking about? Well, let's go back a couple of days and let's just look at the charts that I'm seeing here. And by the way, I'm mildly bullish in the short term. So it's not to say that you're going to be shorting the living heck out of everything, but the way we move up does tell you to be cautious about the move, right? So most of the gains here, so this is a pretty nice move, I'd say. Compress for a while, we make another nice move, and then compress. All right, so most of the gains are in this candle here, this candle here, these candles here. Next day, LPTE, right? Not doing too much. If most of the gains are here, we're just doing nothing, and then we make another little gain here, immediately retrace back. Okay, a little bit of a game here, retrace back. Here's our overnight news. Here's PPI. So this is the gain for sure. Right, chop around. We have some really tiny bodied candles, gain, right? So a good chunk of these gains are just here, a little bit of a short squeeze, and then it dies out. So rather than something that's very persistent over time, right? This is a tiny grind, and then we get a little bit of lift off, but then not a lot of continuation. It just chops for a while over here, right? So we get the retracement, we get another round of gains here, a little bit of gains, and then we pull back. So there just feels like there's sellers just checking the bid every time. Breakouts, right? We get a breakout, then we get a retracement back, right? We get a breakdown, and then we get a little bit too low. Buyers come in here. So I think buyers just have weak control in the shorter term, which tells me that this is a bit of a pullback here. I still think that, this is more of a seller's boycott, but I also think that this is a bit of a pullback in a bearish trend. So remember, right? We from here to here. This happened in the matter of 2 days, right? And we're taking a little bit of time to get through that. Now, bear markets or drops do take the elevator down. The market tends to take the stairs up as it grinds higher, finds footholds. So there is something to keep in mind. But in terms of the price action that I'm seeing, it's not orderly and tight, right? It's not something like, I don't know, if I could look at something like this, tight. We compress for a while, then we get some lift off. Compress for a while, then we get some lift off, right? It's not like orderly and tight. There's not long-term money coming into here. It's a little bit more patchy, right? And here's some of the patchiness here. Compression, move up higher, compression, move up higher, and then we get the retracement, pull back, drop, pull back, drop. Big drop here, bottom falls out. And because we have a really big bottom falls out, I think that buyers are coming in and they're going to be a little bit more control. Market got a little bit overextended over here. But we're still bearish, and that's why we are positioned as we are. Okay, now let's look at what is going on intraday in the market. So we have this upward sloping trend line. I'm going to delete it over here. We broke through this channel on the upside, and we're not really going to be entering back in the channel. You can see actually also on the top side how we test, a little bit of a breakthrough, but we never re-enter this channel range again. So I'm going to delete this guy. As well as this guy. It looks like the market, when there's a channel here, it doesn't really last for super long. It might last for a day or two, and then the trend will change. So here's one trend line that I'm seeing, and I'm drawing this live. So we can just get a sense of how the market is moving. Okay, there's buyers here. We'll see if this ends up holding or if it ends up getting breached as a time breach. If I draw a trend line like this, yeah, That seems to be pretty valid, although it is widening here. So not sure how much of a fan of that I am. But market made a decent move higher. We got a slingshot higher today, so let's look at what happened overnight. Again, small gap up, not really any move from the CPI. Try to fill in the gap, and we test the downside here. I checked the bid early. Long red candle, some volume, gets gobbled up pretty quickly. That's when buyers are in here, and we managed to push all the way up through the high of the day, actually above the 50 SMA as well. Book above here, we're trying to see if we confirm it. Some volume is now coming in to this candle, long red candle, a little bit of a bounce. Another long red candle. You can see how even though these candles have equal size, this candle has far less volume than that candle, which tells us that is more ripe for being reversed out. And that's what happened. This is more retail buying. This is where the institutions are coming in. So after this, we are in a meat grinder, and it looks like we're going to stay in a meat grinder for the rest of the day. Market is just doing nothing, chopping between the SMA 50, the AVWebQ, just is in between a whole lot of TA. Volume is super light. There's just no conviction over here. This is August trading, folks. There's just all these LPT environments. I haven't taken any day trades today personally. I don't plan on. There are maybe, if you get one great trade, that's all you need. But I'm really focusing on not trying to force anything on a day like this. So we have a couple shorts. We don't want to load up any in shorts. We also don't want to take any longs, really. I don't have any conviction here. So pick I'm going to give today is the Cisco time spread. We have the times exceeded is a little bit higher. The difference is good. I prefer it to be a little bit higher for the times exceeded, but I'm going to size this smaller than usual, and I do have to give a pick today. So if I have to give any pick, it's going to be this Cisco time spread. So I like what I see in Cisco. This is a decent setup. Not the best setup in my opinion, but I think it's decent. Yeah, it's pretty much just going to be it for today. So if I had to reiterate the game plan for swing traders, just wait for your time. Remember, these bounces can be longer and taller than you think. We have to evaluate the price action on the way up, and we have to be honest with ourselves on what we're seeing, right? This is bullish. We are moving up. We're making higher highs. The way we're doing it on light volume and weak price action, choppy price action, tenuous price action tells us that we don't need to immediately flip to the bullish side, right? This is part of a bearish trend, right? You do tend to get tall bounces, especially when the longer term trend has been so bullish. Buyers are conditioned to gobble up that dip. We want to see where sellers step in this case. All right, so put over here. 8:14 Cisco time spread. Nice. So I would probably take the 45, maybe 46 calls on this. Even 45.50 if they're offered. That's probably what I'll take. And yeah, we want to get a debit of less than 45 cents on that. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll take a look at how this time spread did and how our swings are doing in tomorrow's video.